One Fight Night 36, the rematch between Jonathan Dibella and the two-sport champion Prajanchai was for more than just gold. It was another battle for pound-for-pound bragging rights. This time, though, it was Dibella who walked away with the win, and he took the kickboxing title with him. From the jump, Dibella's jab was a laser pointer. He tagged the Muay Thai phenom at will, mixing punches and low kicks that made the champ look mortal. Prajanchai tried to box his way inside, but the Italian-Canadian just danced out and punished the Muay Thai champion with counters when he got too close. Prajanchai finally came alive in the championship rounds, firing knees and hooks and walking Dibella down as he finally found his rhythm. But Dibella wouldn't give up, and both men traded hell for leather until the final bell forced them to stop. Dibella's gas tank proved to be the difference, and all three judges sided with the relentless underdog to upgrade him from interim title holder to the undisputed strawweight kickboxing world champion. The win also pushed Dibella to 15-1 in kickboxing, avenged his lone loss, and earned him a cool $50,000 performance bonus. Validation, redemption, and gold. Not a bad night's work for a brawl in Bangkok. In the co-main, Aung La N Sang wrote his own fairy tale ending. The Myanmar legend finished the former welterweight champion Zebaztian Kadestam with the kind of poetic violence that he built his legacy on. The 40-year-old former two-division champion walked away from MMA with his 31st win, a $50K performance bonus, and better yet, a Hall of Fame induction set for 1/173 in Tokyo this November. The perfect exit for the man who carried Myanmar's MMA dreams on his back for a decade. In other highlights, Uzbek phenom Aslam John Ortakov continued his wrecking ball run by dismantling Kong Torani in their Muay Thai clash. A second-round knockdown sealed the deal, moving the 22-year-old to 23-0 and earning him some serious whispers as one's next breakout superstar. And the shocker of the night came from Mansur Malachiev and Jared Brooks' flyweight fracas. After a scrappy first round between the two top strawweight contenders, Malachiev locked in a brutal north-south choke that put the former champion completely to sleep. The submission victory not only upped Malachiev's record to 14-1, it may also have earned him a spot in the top 5 flyweight MMA rankings. It's been barely a few weeks since Terence Crawford stunned boxing. But his coach, Bernie Davis, dropped a bombshell. He thinks unless Bud is paid $100 million to move down and fight for the undisputed middleweight crown, he's not fighting again. While Crawford made history by becoming the sport's first ever male undisputed 3-weight world champion in the Alpha Belt era, this seems incredibly unlikely, even for him. For starters, that means before Bud steps back into the ring, one of the current champions, Carlos Adames, Janabek Alamkhanoli, or Erislandi Lara, would need to fight at least 2 more marquee fights to become undisputed. Those fights usually take years to happen. Just ask Bud. Then there's the $100 million price tag. Crawford's blockbuster versus Canelo pulled over 70,000 fans into a stadium because Canelo is a generational draw, not Bud. Just look at Bud's previous pay-per-view peaks for proof. Before Canelo, his most hyped fight was when he trounced Errol Spence Jr. for the undisputed welterweight title. That bout achieved a buy rate of only 700,000 viewers and netted around $59 million in total. That's around half of what Bernie is asking for, and Bud got less than half of that. So maybe that's so long, Terence Crawford. As for Crawford's most recently vanquished foe, Canelo Alvarez looks set to sit out the rest of 2025 while he recovers from elbow surgery. Alvarez still has 2 more bouts contracted with Saudi promoter Turki Al-Sheikh, the final 2 bouts of his long and storied career if he is to be believed. But the original February return has now been postponed. The now 35-year-old, who lost his super middleweight titles to Crawford in September, looks set to undergo elbow surgery in late October. This procedure will require weeks of recovery and will delay his return until the second quarter of 2026 at the earliest. Speaking of long and storied careers, it seems Manny Pacquiao has no intention of retiring quietly. The 46-year-old is planning a January return, and he's targeting Rolando Romero and his WBA welterweight title. In July, shortly after being inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame as part of the class of 2025, Pacquiao took the welterweight champion Mario Barrios to a razor-close majority draw. That was in a bid to break his own record for being the oldest welterweight champion in history. The Pac-Man was targeting a December return against Rolly for yet another world title, but his schedule couldn't fit it in. That's in no small part due to him launching Manny Pacquiao Promotions, which will make its US debut this November, but he's now announced that he'll be back this January 24 in Las Vegas. In championship results, Cecilia Brækhuis outpointed Emma Kozin to claim the WBC and WBO junior middleweight titles in the last bout of her illustrious career. The First Lady bows out a two-division champion in a farewell that looked more like a coronation than a goodbye. Brækhuis, 44, who famously overturned Norway's pro-boxing ban, ruled the women's welterweight division for 11 years, the longest reign in female boxing history, and she holds the longest reign as a four-belt undisputed champion, man or woman. She's a guaranteed first-ballot Hall of Famer. And in boxing-adjacent news, former UFC interim lightweight champion Dustin Poirier says he's nowhere near coming out of retirement from mixed martial arts. However, the Diamond would enter a boxing ring if it meant facing the not-quite-retired Nate Diaz. Zuffa Boxing, 12 rounds, me and Nathaniel. I'd do it. Only one more fight I'd take. Poirier, 36, retired from the UFC in July with one final epic appearance against Max Holloway in Poirier's home state of Louisiana. Since then, the fan favorite has repeatedly made it clear that he has hung up the gloves for good. But maybe he needed to specify which gloves. With the UFC CEO Dana White announcing his partnership with Turki Al-Sheikh and the WWE in creating Zuffa Boxing, it looks like Poirier might have a way in without having to box his way up. Poirier was scheduled to face Diaz back in 2018, but the matchup ultimately fell through. Since then, each fighter has blamed the other for a rivalry that never really got started. Diaz, 40, left the UFC in 2022 and made his professional boxing debut against Jake Paul the next year, losing by unanimous decision. In his second bout, he defeated former UFC rival Jorge Masvidal, so why wouldn't he want to keep his momentum going in another nostalgic money fight? I'd beat your ass, but you're not allowed, misspelled Diaz on Twitter. P.S. You're checked out already. If Diaz thought that attempt at English might provoke the Diamond, he wasn't wrong. Maybe a spelling bee competition versus Nathaniel will be the hardest fight of both of our careers, replied Poirier. And it's good to see the Diamond is enjoying retirement.
Thanks for watching. And remember, if you want more fight sports in your life, just hit the subscribe button.